Hey folks, I'm Gene Delasalo with Audioholics, and today I would like to talk to you about the IMAX Enhanced certification that we're seeing now for home cinema or for home theater. We did a press release on this a few weeks ago during CEDIA. I believe Denon and Marantz were announcing that their products were going to be IMAX compatible, and in fact, their newest receivers are going to get that update, the firmware update, in the next month or two. Some of their other products are going to get it later in the year or next year. So I guess I'd like to sit down and just kind of talk about it with you guys to tell you what we know so far. I've been doing some email exchanges with the folks at IMAX as well as the folks at DTS, because it's a partnership between those two entities. And I got some information. It's not a lot of information. It's not groundbreaking information, but at least gives you an idea of what to expect and why this feature is being so prominently promoted by Denon and Marantz, and as well as Sony, because Sony is one of the hardware partners as well. I believe Sony's focusing more on the display side of things. I'm not sure if it's going to be in their receivers. So let's talk about what we know, and I'll also talk about what we don't know, and we could kind of speculate on it, and you can kind of give us comments down below what you think. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with IMAX. They've been around for a good 10 plus years in the cinema. And to me, IMAX has always been about getting the best cinematic experience. Every time I went to an IMAX cinema, I've always had incredible sound quality, video quality. The picture quality is awesome. The surround sound is awesome. Tends to be a little bit too loud sometimes. But one of the best movie experiences I had was when I went to go see Avatar in IMAX. And not only was it visually incredible, but the sound was just amazing. The 3D effect was one of the first movies that I actually enjoyed 3D on, because it kind of went into the screen rather than being gimmicky and popping out of the screen. But I don't want to get into an off tangent about 3D. That we'll save for another topic of discussion on another YouTube video. So let's focus on IMAX Enhanced, and let's talk about what that means for home theater, what you're getting when you buy this hardware for it, and what kind of software you need in order to enjoy this experience. I found it interesting, basically, that the guys at IMAX told us you need two things. You need the IMAX Enhanced hardware, and you need the IMAX content, which right now is being released on Ultra HD Blu-ray. So I find it interesting that they didn't mention anything about speaker requirements, dispersion requirements, output requirements, speaker placement, room acoustics. I would think that if you're going to do a full IMAX certified home theater, it's not just the hardware, but it's also the listening space and the kind of speakers. But they did say basically that the speaker placement is covered in the DTS:X guidelines, and standard DTS:X speaker layouts are supported, as well as other immersive surround form layouts as well. So I guess we'll have to revisit this on a later topic, because I think you probably would need to get more, if you want to be really serious about getting the IMAX experience, you want to make sure you have the speakers that can handle the output requirements that we're trying to reach, which, again, we don't know what the target requirements are. So let's go over two things that I talked about with IMAX, their mission as well as the certification. So the IMAX mission is to ensure an optimized and consistent viewing experience that remains faithful to the filmmaker's creative intent. But we wonder, how's that achieved? And that's what we're trying to answer in this video and future videos to come. So IMAX certification is a licensing and certification program on hardware devices and post-production and filmmaking process. So it's not just the hardware that goes in your home, but it's also the film that you bring into your home. It has to be shot on IMAX cameras. It has to be produced through IMAX standards in order to give the director's recreation of what they intend in the cinema to your house. So let's talk a little bit about the video side of things. The first thing is IMAX Enhanced certified gear is backwards compatible, and as is the software. So if you don't have an IMAX receiver and you don't have an IMAX TV, you can still play back an IMAX Blu-ray or Ultra HD Blu-ray on your regular Ultra HD Blu-ray player, and you'll still get, the regular Ultra HD signal. You'll still get DTS:X or Dolby Atmos, whatever audio stream is on that disc. It's not going to just, you're going to plug the disc in or you're going to play it and it's not going to work. It's going to work. It's backwards compatible. And they also told me that it's It's also HDR10 compatible in terms of optional dynamic metadata. It's not a competing format to HDR10. It's kind of a kind of a symbiotic. It'll work with it. But as far as Dolby Vision, they didn't really answer me on that. And all I could surmise is that it's a competitor for Dolby Vision. I mean, it's obvious that Dolby's got a foothold right now with ultra high definition in the home cinema. DTS wants to kind of get back into that in the home cinema. They want to have kind of a niche they want to carve out again, as does IMAX now. They want to have their footing into home cinema as well. So I'm kind of envisioning at some point you're going to be seeing in the department stores or whatever home theater shops you go to, you're going to have Dolby Vision on one side and IMAX on the other side, and people are going to kind of say which one's better. I say get them all. I mean, I don't like format wars. The only thing I like is that you have the ability now to have more choices rather than less choices. So I don't see why these two technologies can't coexist, but we'll see what happens, because you know what happened with Ultra HD, or you know what happened with Blu-ray and HD DVD. Blu-ray won that, obviously. So moving on, what I found interesting was the audio side of things. I wasn't expecting there to be much of a difference, but they went out of their way, the guys at IMAX, to tell me how audio is done in an IMAX theater. And I didn't know this. I had no idea that there's no subwoofer channel in an IMAX theater. It's actually a 12.0 speaker layout. So every speaker is full range. There's no subwoofer channel. So when you want to bring this IMAX experience home, now you have to apply bass management. You got to take that 12.0 channel mix and bring it down to as little as a 5.1 channel mix, and all the way up to a 32 channel immersive surround mix. Although I haven't really seen many 32 channel mixes or 32 channel installations in the home theater, the majority of immersive surround speaker layouts that I've seen are 7.1.4. This is compatible, obviously, with that. It's very important that you get good bass management to get the proper dynamic range and the proper signals going to all your speakers. And I will tell you this, I've tested Denon and Marantz receivers over the years, and they have some of the best bass management in AVRs. Their bass management works. Their crossover slopes are all good. I've tested that stuff out many, many times. So I'm not worried about there being any problems with bass management. So the other new feature that we're going to be seeing in this DTS enhancement, DTS-X enhancement, when you're going to be getting into this, they're claiming it's a surround codec that'll feature persistent center channel screen height object. And that is allegedly to provide the ability to create a speaker where one doesn't exist. That sounds cool. I don't know how that works exactly. I don't know the specifics. I think it's cool that they're going to be doing some tweaks on the DTS-X surround codec. I definitely think DTS has some catching up to do, especially with their 2-channel up mixer. I don't like the way the 2-channel up mixer sounds for music. Hopefully they could do something about that in the future, but this IMAX thing is focusing strictly on cinema. So I'm going to be very curious to see when we get IMAX discs and we put it into an AVR that has the IMAX Enhanced. I want to see what happens with the center channel, what they're talking about here. It sounds interesting that they're going to be able to create a virtualized kind of speaker on the center channel. So let's go over hardware partners. As I said before, Sound United's on board with the IMAX Enhanced program. That includes Denon and Marantz. Sony's on board. I'm not sure if that includes their AVR receivers. I kind of assuming it's mostly into their displays, but I could be wrong. They could have receivers coming out in the next 6 months or so that have the IMAX Enhanced. It would kind of make sense if they want to keep everything into the same brand, into a system, into their architecture. Right now, we're looking at the Denon 6500 and 4500 AVRs are shipping with the IMAX Enhanced software. In the coming months, they're going to be getting that update. I have the Marantz SR8012. We're looking at getting the firmware update sometime next year on that. The Denon 8500 also has that firmware update coming much sooner. The Marantz AV8805 13-channel processor will be getting that update soon as well. I think these updates are coming by the end of this month, and then we're looking at early Q1 2019 for some of the other products like the SR8012. So I probably won't be commenting much about the sound and video quality of the IMAX Enhanced feature until next year. We might have one of our other reviewers take a look at an 8500 or 6500 receiver. He might beat me to it. If we do, I'll make sure I'll have him do a video on it. The content partners, we're looking at Paramount right now. They're also looking at getting some streaming services on board. I'm not sure what other movie production studios are signing on. Right now, the only way to get the IMAX Enhanced is through an Ultra HD Blu-ray disc, but you could rest assured with the way streaming technologies is catching up to the physical format, we're looking at streaming to basically be able to do virtually everything you can do on a hard disk. The only thing that the advantage right now a hard disk has over the streaming is you get Dolby True HD and you get DTS:X, the lossless versions of these immersive surround formats, whereas you don't have lossless yet on streaming. But as bandwidth gets better and better, I think that's going to change in the next few years. So you could expect the IMAX Enhanced feature to be going on streaming services, maybe Netflix, Amazon Prime. Not really sure, don't have that information yet. And I think it is also interesting to see what kind of TVs and what kind of displays we're going to be seeing, because the IMAX aspect ratio is a little bit different than you get in the standard movie theater. The screens tend to be a little bit taller. So I'm just wondering what kind of aspect ratios we're going to be seeing, if we're going to be seeing TVs that are bigger to accommodate that. I guess we'll see when Sony finally releases some of their TVs, how that changes things. And, you know, that's about all we know right now. I wrote a little article that maybe goes into a little bit more detail that I didn't cover in this video. I guess one thing I want to ask you guys is, how do you foresee yet another feature or another logo stamped onto your AVR? Is this getting like NASCAR, where we're just putting a bunch of logos on our jackets and, you know, we're eventually going to run out of space? I'm kind of curious, because one thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see the IMAX name being liquidated, kind of like what Dolby did. You know, Dolby was a household name for many years, and then they got off on a tangent with the bouncy house speakers, and they started certifying every little product with Atmos. And it kind of, in my opinion, it liquidated the technology, because it wasn't an exclusive technology anymore. Now you could get it in a $400 or $500 receiver, and you're really not getting the Atmos experience in a $500 receiver, let's be honest. So I don't want to see that happen to IMAX, kind of like what happened with THX. THX went off on a tangent. At first, they were a solid company. They were a respected name in home cinema, but then they started certifying doors. I mean, it got ridiculous. So I hope the guys at IMAX are looking at this video and they're not seeing it as me being facetious, but more of a concern that I do respect the IMAX name. And so far, from what I've been hearing from them, they're very serious about quality, to make sure they recreate the director's intent in the movie into your home. Right now, they're putting it on the upper end products and the Denon and Marantz receivers. So we're not looking at this being liquidated down to the cheap, you know, the midline or the low end receivers, which is a good thing, because product technology like this, where it's exclusive and giving you that next level of performance, should be reserved for upper echelon gear, in my opinion. So I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think about that. Are you going to be, in the coming months, when you go to upgrade your AVR or you go to upgrade your TV, is the IMAX Enhanced certification thing, is that going to be something you're going to be having on a check mark to have as a feature? Or are you just more like, you know what, just give me Dolby Atmos, give me the standard flare, it's good enough as it is? I'm kind of curious to see what you guys are thinking about that. So please comment down below. If you like this video, thumb it up. And guys, I wanted to tell you, we started a Patreon page, and the purpose of that page is to help us. You guys can help us produce better quality content. We want to have, maybe not necessarily IMAX quality content, but we want to get an HD camera. We want to bring the production quality up on our videos. We want to get more guest appearances from people in the industry. So if you can visit us on Patreon/Audioholics and help us in any way you can, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm putting exclusive content on that page that you're not going to see on the Audioholics website. And it's just going to be fun. We're building a community. We started this page a few days ago. We already have 13 patrons. And I wanted to give a shout out to a couple of them in this video. Wookie Gromer was our first. And some of these names are not real names, so forgive me if I butcher it. But the other person I wanted to give a shout out to is Sustenth, and then Peter Green. Those are the first 3 patrons we had sign up with us. Guys, we really appreciate it. And if you guys can help us in any way, we also appreciate it. And if not, that's fine. Just enjoy our videos, thumb them up and share them. Give us some feedback down below. Tell us what you want us to cover next. And until next time, my friends, keep listening.